welcome back to Lost in Roshar, the ultimate journey through the Stormlight Archive. I'm Christian Kremling.
And I'm Jimmy Stormbless. Today, we are diving into chapters 37, 38, and 39 of The Way of Kings. And as always, full spoilers ahead for the entire Stormlight Archive series, including the novellas. And if there's any Cosmere spoilers, we will obviously give you a heads up before we say it. But if you haven't read The Way of Kings, we'll see you later. For everyone else, welcome back to the show. Christian, we're into some big Kaladin stuff today. A little bit of Shallan as well. Some picture drawing that I think is pretty significant. But yeah. Kaladin chapters, but how are the chapters of Christian Kremling? Like, what's going on in Christian Kremling's narrative?
Did you like that? How I've embraced the name now.
I
feel like we've got to go for it in the intro. Differentiate ourselves, right?
I agree.
I feel like, dude, what you said, Kaladin kind of just took over for me. I've been with you, Team Shallan, but this week I was like, Shallan, I can give the sketchpad a rest because I want to fight some death spren. You know what I mean?
I think if you were to rank the least interesting plot points in The Way of Kings, it would go the strap, the faithful, and then the side carry. Like those are the three least favorite things for me in The Way of Kings. So I am with you. This Shallan chapter was actually the first one where I was not as invested in it as I was the Kaladin ones, because I'm just like, I know what's going on with the Fabrial.
Yeah.
Like, let's move on. Let's go.
Like we texted Ballard last week, didn't we? Didn't we just text him? Well, I've got to text him again.
Things are real bad. You need to hurry.
Yeah, my back is sore and my knees hurt or whatever she said. Oh, come on, guys.
Even with all that, though, the Shallan chapter is still pretty good.
It's still good. It's still good. But look, no, things are good. I had a good week, and I was listening to the Bend the Knee podcast, A Song of Ice and Fire podcast. Great podcast, guys.
Here we go.
If you want more Jimmy. And you know what Jimmy's saying? He's just he acts like I'm not listening on my downtime, but I am. Just to just keep an eye on my co-host. What's he talking about? And you know what? You bagged out olives to your much larger A Song of Ice and Fire audience. You said black olives, get them out of here.
You like black olives,
dude? I was sitting in my car, aghast, shocked, appalled. Dude, I'm Italian. Black olives is my jam. I have black olives all day and night.
Listen, just because history is said that you should enjoy black olives doesn't mean you actually enjoy black olives. I don't believe anyone in the world actually enjoys black olives. Like, there's no way.
They are the best. And like you said, right, you don't like them on your pizza, but you'll do it. I love when I'm eating pizza with someone, they don't want the olives on their pizza. I just take them. More for me.
Well, that's fine. If there's someone there that will take my burden, I'm down. I mean, and I will not turn down a Supreme pizza if there's olives on it. But man, when people put in like salads and stuff, it like actually evokes like a gag reflex in me. Like,
really?
I'm not a picky eater, but that's probably the one thing I really and vinegar. I also hate vinegar.
Oh, dude. So like a Greek salad, right? You got your feta cheese.
Oh. Well, oil and vinegar I can do. It's when people take like vinegar and stick them on their French fries and stuff. I can smell it, and I'm getting queasy talking about it. Like, honestly, it makes me sick. It makes me so sick.
You're all about that,
dude. It's so funny that you did that you say this, because I was like, you were like, you said something on Bend the Knee, and I'm gonna talk to you about it, and I didn't know what it was, but you are like the third person that's messaged me about my food takes on that episode. I had two other people that listen and that I talked to, and they were both had problems with me eating mac salad on Thanksgiving here in the States. And I'm like, who cares? Like, and then they were actually in agreement that black olives were, dog water essentially. But,
oh no. Well, then. No, I take it back. I thought I had some comrades. Well, look, it's more olives for me. That's all.
I'd rather eat the jam in Shallan's chapter than I would.
Yeah, right. You got to watch out for that jam, man. I've heard some stories. But look, Thanksgiving's like turkey, right? That's what you do.
Turkey. I mean, some people do ham. I've even seen some people just like completely abandon it and do it. A big trend that's going on in the younger generations is that everyone's just doing Italian food. So people are doing lasagna, kind of like an Italian potluck type deal thing, right? So I think it's weird. Turkey is the meat that is associated with Thanksgiving, but the majority of people I know don't like turkey.
Right.
It's very strange. I like turkey. I don't have a problem with it. I just like pretty much all meat.
Yeah,
Very
as long as you're stuffing your face.
yeah, literally, as long
you're
as
doing
I'm
it right.
ingesting calories. I'm on the bulk right now, dude. I
Oh,
need more in than I'm putting out is the goal
Yeah.
right now. So I put on like, I don't know, maybe about 7 pounds in the last 2 months. So I'm feeling pretty good. I'm feeling strong.
Ooh,
I'm a
yeah.
little soft. I'm getting a little softer, but I'm happy. I'm happy, and I'm laying on people in jiu-jitsu and just putting my belly on them. It's the best.
Hey, it's a valid strategy.
It is. I literally laid on a dude the other day. That doesn't sound like the way I wanted it to. I was grappling the other day, and so had this dude underneath me, and while I was going for submission, his face was buried into my stomach. So I started breathing into my stomach.
Oh my gosh.
To like suffocate him.
This just reminds me of like some sort of Tekken experience.
Yeah, I realize when I talk about jiu-jitsu on podcasts that I sound like a sociopath, and that's not the vibe.
I was on top of him and I breathed into my stomach. Yeah,
that began to suffocate him. It sounds like some weird, sketch.
Hey man, the people keep tuning in. You're doing something right.
The extracurricular activities are outrageous over here on Austin Roshar. We got me doing whatever I'm doing, and then Christian's over here eating black olives.
I'm just like chewing olives, just seething as I listen to Bend the Knee. I'm like, this is what Jimmy talks about when I'm not around.
That is crazy.
Someone's got to keep him in check. Dude, olives, get some like little chili flakes on there. Oh my God.
Just eat the chili flakes. You'd be better off.
I don't know, dude. Just like it's one of those things you have with the cold beer, some olives, some chips.
Do you like green olives?
I don't really go for them, but they kind of they're in the same world. It's just like if they're there, I'll have them, but they need to be pitted. I don't want to deal with these seeds, I don't want
yeah.
This
is a 1920.
Yeah, yeah. Come on, people. Let's be reasonable. Some things we can agree on.
I've been reading this book that is about a Baptist family who goes to the Congo in 1959 to kind of like minister and like be missionaries, and they're describing their food, and I'm just like, oh my God, this sounds terrible. Like I would have died. I would have been
dealing with. What are we
I mean, it's just like powder, like milk powder and stuff. You know what I mean? Like very like stuff that you can store in heaps and takes up a small amount of space so they could fly it over and stuff. And I'm just like, my God. And then, some people are eating like raw eggs out of nests and stuff.
Oh my God.
I've been thinking about food a lot lately. Not just because I'm on the bulk, but because it keeps popping up in my books too.
Yeah, I don't know how it would go on those survival shows. I feel like you'd survive, but you would like catch something to eat and be like, I'm not eating that. Where's my pasta salad?
So I'll be honest, as someone who eats a lot of meat, I don't think I couldn't kill the cremling. I couldn't do it, dude.
Nah, man. It's our people.
Yeah.
We don't mess with them.
I'm too soft.
No. But hey, speaking of cremlings, we have reintroduced the weekly poll. We're back.
I don't know. I just
dude. We need your old timey like 50s radio intros. That's where it was at. The week
when you're down and out and you're in a hole, you can get uplifted with the weekly poll.
Hey,
I don't know.
Jazz hands.
I did do
jazz claws, some Kremlin claws. All right. So I said, assuming the prologues of the Stormlight book 6 to 10 give us various perspectives of one event, which event do you think they'll focus on? The Contest of Champions, Abandoning the Oath Pact, The Recreants, or Gavilar's Feast 2.0? Who'd you vote for, Jimmy? What event did you vote?
I voted for Gavilar's Feast again because I just thought it was funny.
Yeah.
I don't actually think he's going to do that. How about this? I'll say this. He should not do it.
There's a lot of comments being like, no, please, God, no.
It would be the biggest troll of all time if it was just Gavilar's Feast again. Yeah. Like you just start getting the Herald perspective of the Heralds that were there. I mean, we do know it's going to focus on the Heralds.
Yeah, I want some weird perspectives. I want the whole thing told from Shadesmar's perspective. That's what I want.
Could you imagine?
So that was 8%. That's the clear loser. Yeah, we had a tie for second exactly, pretty much. 22% for the Contest of Champions and the Recreants. The Contest of Champions could be cool, but I kind of feel like we're already going to get 5 perspectives of that with just in the next book, right? will jump around a lot.
Dude, my dyslexia is bad. Like, I literally thought it said Conquest of Champions, and I was gonna be like, "What is the Conquest of Champions?" Like, I was so confused, and I googled it, and I didn't find anything. So I was like, "I was asked on the episode." All week, I thought it said Conquest of Champions.
Oh my god,
That's embarrassing. Oh, I kind of like the idea of the Conquest.
I did this, I think, because you said this. I think you suggested this last episode. I'm fairly sure. Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
it's very based of me. The Contest of Champions is more interesting than the Recreants, and the reason why is that for me, I don't know, the Recreants could actually be really cool too, but I think if you do the Recreants, like the natural better option is abandoning the Oath Pact, in my opinion.
I agree. I agree.
It feels like it's not the thing to focus on. Now, obviously, Sanderson knows what to focus on, but in my head, the hierarchy goes Oath Pact, then Recreants, whereas the Contest of Champions is like Gavilar's Feast in the fact that it is going to stand alone as an event, and it's going to have multiple perspectives, and I have a feeling it's going to be pretty nuanced. I have a feeling different people are going to see things different ways, so I think it has the opportunity to flex the multiple POV approach to the prologues in a neat way. I wouldn't mind the Recreants technically, though. I mean, of course, it would be cool.
I just wonder what it has to offer. Like,
yeah,
at least the Oath Pact has won with 48% of the votes, but it's like there's not too much mystery there. It's kind of just like, yeah, they abandoned the Oath Pact. I guess there was like already a bunch of blades there, so that other heralds already decided. But I don't know if it's like a 6-book prologue. And I probably should have offered the option of something else that we don't know, because a lot of people are like, yeah, something else that's going to be cray at the end of book 5 that changes the world. That could be cool. But the cool thing about the Contest of Champions, if you look at the artwork that I've added, I don't know if you ever saw this, but like that was that's a new piece of official Stormlight 5 artwork. I don't remember when it was released, but it was a few months ago. But it's like Dalinar walking up the steps with this like ominous shadow looking down upon him. It kind of makes you feel like it's Gavilar is going to be the champion himself. But yeah.
I mean, I have been a pretty big believer that Gavilar's coming back.
I meant Dalinar. Sorry, Dalinar.
Oh, Dalinar? Well, I was going to say, yeah. I feel like Gavilar's coming back, but that's obviously a bit of a crackpot theory. But I think most people believe that Dalinar will be the champion at this point?
I feel like it's set up for that to be the case, because we're kind of like, all right, time to die. Dalinar. Time to die like a hero, or turn into like a weird possessed villain. One of the two. Pick a side. I don't know. I don't know who else it could be. I don't think it's right. He's not going to pick Kaladin, I don't think, because he's too like he kind of retired, semi-retired. I guess it's someone in the family. It's one of the Colons, you know.
Maybe this is Adolin's moment to step up.
I could see that.
Maybe.
But again, we've talked about that ad nauseum. We've got so long to theorize about the Contest of Champions.
Yeah, for sure. So abandoning the Oath Pact winning. One thing I was thinking about with this that could work for the prologues is that if it doesn't actually show the abandoning of the Oath Pact, but the direct aftermath of it, meaning like when these people split up, like where do they go? Like what are these heralds thinking now that they've given up?
Right. Okay. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they have all this history and power, and then they're walking away. So like, I would love to be in their heads of like, so what's next?
That's great. Yeah. Cause like, abandoning it's fairly simple. Maybe the prologue, like you said, is like the immediate, like the next month of each herald's life. What do they do? You know? And like, we know a few where they've kind of ended up, but there's some we barely have scratched the surface of. Maybe one's like running a fruit stand, you know?
Yeah, but seriously though, like, and actually it could be kind of funny. But now that we're talking about it, I mean, you're right. It is kind of straightforward. And I don't know if that really will tie into the rest. Who knows?
Yeah, because like the whole series, the 10-book series, the prelude is about that moment. So surely it's a bit more, even more significant than we realize. I wonder if like there's going to be a new Oath Pact. I'm kind of getting that vibe or something to that effect. We're going to get a new a new 10.
You know, it's crazy. We're not going to have the answer to this for 5 years because he's taking the break. And I was wondering,
Why?
Listen, he's a compulsive writer. He literally can't help himself. Do you feel like he's going to be like 2 years in the bad boy and be like, nah, guys, I'm writing it. We're getting
no. I wish. Part of me wants to say yes, but he's going to be like doing his like Mistborn dial-up internet era magic. Like he's going to be deep into that, and I'll begrudgingly come around to it.
It is crazy to me that there are people that are like Mistborn focused. And I'm not trying to be mean to anyone. I just, from my perspective, it's crazy because like I'm so into Stormlight, and then Mistborn's supplemental to me.
Yeah, agreed.
But like there are a lot of people who feel like Mistborn, because it was before Stormlight, that it is like his main series.
I think it could be argued that either Stormlight or Mistborn are the main series.
Has he ever said that Stormlight is his magnum opus?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I feel like that's good enough proof.
Yeah, but I think the Mistborn world has just as much significance as Roshar. Let's put it like in the Cosmere, it's just as, if not more important.
Yeah.
Because the metals are like crazy. What's being done with metals. And we saw in Rhythm of War, metal like totally play into all of Stormlight's magic. And it's like, it's part of it now. So we haven't seen Stormlight show up anywhere else.
Yet,
but it will. I'm sure it will. Once Kaladin's on that moon, anything's possible.
Someone's gonna put a comment below and be like, "You guys didn't read this book," and then it's gonna like spoil that it's in the book. It's probably what happened.
Yeah, it's inevitable.
Because it could have showed up. We don't know. We haven't read them all, like all the Cosmere books, right?
I mean, it's clear that it's clear that it will show up or has. I'm not going to confirm. But in the far, far future, I'm pretty sure like every magic system's showing up, doesn't it? Like that's the whole point of this thing. It's a matter of when. It's a matter of when, not if.
Yeah, but these first few chapters of Sunlit Man kind of gave us an idea of like where we're going.
Yeah, and he's read chapters before of like crazy far future stuff, and it's just it's like it's no secret that all of this magic is going to be quite available somehow.
Yeah.
But man, these chapters were good. These Kaladin chapters, I was like, oh, I feel like I'm back. I don't know. It felt like a whole new book. Did you get that? I'm just like, oh, we're in there. We're in the pocket now.
Yeah, Kaladin, kind of how I imagine him more so, I think.
Yeah.
But before we move into the chapters, bro, we got news.
Yeah. Oh.
I have a feeling you may have missed this.
I think I did because I have no idea.
I actually know you did because you would have mentioned it by now.
What's happened?
Did you see Brandon Sanderson's tweet or post on X?
Is it the Cosmere sweaters for Christmas?
No, it is not. It is not, in fact.
I've seen that everywhere.
It's not a cookbook either.
Oh, damn it. Okay.
Brandon Sanderson tweeted this on November 16th of 2023 at 7:27 p.m. I assume that's like Utah time.
Okay.
Yes, we've had first prologue, but what about second prologue?
What? Are we about to get a preview?
And at first I thought he was just messing around like, second breakfast. And then I was thinking about it and I was like, nah, he's pretty much, in my opinion, and again, I'm Stormlight focused. Is he saying we're getting a second prologue?
What's going on
Is
here?
the Madman going to end the arc with 2 prologues like he started the series?
Okay. Remember how you were theorizing, right? Oh, you were theorizing that he was going to cut out prologues and just do epilogues. I think he listened to our episode.
You think so?
He's clapping back hard. Oh,
there's plenty of other things I feel like he would clap back at.
yeah. Your plans for the Elantris Lounge, probably. But dude, okay. If there is a second prologue, so I paid for a program where I could live stream. If there's a second prologue, I will pay for that back. I'm gonna read it live. I'm gonna make some theories.
I'm telling you right now, we're getting 2 prologues in book 5, just like
Are you kidding me?
There it is, man.
2. Oh my gosh. Why is he teasing that now? Surely that means he's gonna wait, isn't Dragonsteel coming up? He's going to read it at
Uh-huh.
Dragonsteel.
He's going to read it next week. Yep. And I was going to message this to you,
God.
but you didn't message me. So I was like, he must not have seen this. So I was like,
move.
I'll wait to the episode to talk about it. But I think, next
I
week,
missed it. Yeah.
it is likely that I shouldn't say likely. There's a chance that we will maybe hear a second prologue.
Jimmy, 100% Dragonsteel. He's going to be there in his Cosmere sweater. And he's going to read it. Oh my gosh. And someone's going to transcribe it. And then I'm going to live stream and react to it. Done. That's my weekend.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, like, are you going to listen to it or are you going to wait? But I already knew you weren't going to wait. I
remember at Rhythm of War, Reddit was like, oh, chapter 2 got released, chapter 3 got released, and everyone would discuss. And I was like, these people can't even wait. Why can't we just all be patient? But no, I've given up on that life. I'll be reading it straight away.
I mean, if anything, just to help me finish the book in a reasonable amount of time, I probably will read the chapters if he releases them like that again. Just to like literally help myself out, because we're going to be trying to get through it to do the podcast episodes on it. So
do you think, like, we read a lot of manga and they tend to be weekly or monthly. Do you think the traditional publishing world of fantasy will ever do that?
They've tried. There's been a lot of serialization attempts. Most of them have failed. Actually, Tad Williams wrote an epic fantasy called Shadow March that started as an online serial, and then Tor was like, hey, stop doing that. We would just want to make these normal books. Like, this is good.
Oh, okay.
Now, Wandering In is an epic fantasy series that's already longer than the Wheel of Time and is written episodically, apparently. And also, I heard that it's written in a Google Doc, and if you're part of the Patreon, you can actually watch it be written.
Wow, that's really...
And the writer doesn't edit, just writes, and you read what they write. Isn't that a crazy, like, new thing? Like, that is wild.
Yeah, that is a whole new take on things.
It's already longer than the Wheel of Time. I'm out. I'm too far behind. I'll never catch up.
We've got a few years left, mate.
Yeah.
There's some old videos on Sanderson's channel, and I think it's Warbreaker. He's just recording his screen. You can watch him write a bunch of Warbreaker from scratch on his documents. So that's pretty cool.
That is cool.
Yeah. I find it so strange. Like, these books that we love so much are probably just, I mean, it's not George levels where he's writing on a DOS computer, but like they're just on just a word processor at some point. It's weird to me.
I mean, that's kind of like the romantic side of writing. You're like, I'm going to write, get a little glass of whiskey, turn down the lights, put on some music, and then like it's just an empty Word document. It's not sexy at all.
No.
That's why you got to have that fire. Like, you got to have the fire, and you have to have an image in your head. And I think that's something I just lack, like, completely.
When I imagine how was Stormlight written, like, Sanderson's in his in the Sander Manch, and he's got like a quill, and he dips it in the ink, and he goes, Kaladin, what is next? And he slowly scribes it. I guess is that how Tolkien wrote it down? Surely he did. If anyone's doing it via quill, it's Tolkien.
Oh yeah, certainly. Yeah, longhand, I believe, is what the kids call it.
Yes.
And
then he's making up Elvish. We don't have.
I don't know what they gave him in the trenches of World War I, but it sparked his imagination, I would say.
Speaking of visions.
Yeah, speaking of visions, and now that we got the big news out of the way, we can get into chapter 37, which is first of the 3 chapters we read this week. And chapter 37 is entitled Sides, which features Kaladin point of view, and it is a flashback. It's about 5.5 years ago from where we are, and Kaladin is helping his mother cooking. Tien's talking about rocks and stuff, and just being like, "This rock's crazy, dude. Check it out." And Kaladin's like, "Okay, that's neat, Tien." Then they start talking about spren, because Tien wants to know if the rock actually has a spren. Cal's mom believes that everything has a spren, and so as far as to say, if you chop something up, it just divides into smaller spren, and then once the thing is dead, that the spren go to wherever spren go. And then we have an interesting point where Tien says, "What about me? Do I have a spren?" And then she says, "No, you're human. You have a soul." And then we kick to Cal and Liren, and they're going over to the castle, and they're basically trying to get back into the good graces. And Kaladin's dad has been accused of theft. I mean, that's what this chapter is really about, right? He stole some spears, and Roshone I always struggle with that name. Roshone wants him back, right? So that's what we
I
see.
mean,
We end up seeing Roshan's son, Relir, I think is how you would
yeah,
pronounce it,
little
and
brat.
Laeral. And that's heartbreaking for Kaladin, obviously. And then we find out that, in fact, he did steal the spheres.
I know.
Liren
Oh,
did steal the spears, and
he's
then
human.
Kaladin wants to stand up to Light Eyes just like his dad. So what a crazy chapter for multiple reasons, but really kind of starts to pull back the curtain of why Kaladin sees the world the way he does as far as the class system goes.
Yeah. Oh man, I love this chapter so much. I don't know about you.
I mean, I figured you had a lot to say because that whole first page is just like spren, souls,
Oh yeah.
rocks,
I'm
colors. Like,
it's my wheelhouse, dude.
I mean,
Oh,
I'm just gonna hand you the reins and just say,
let me go, mate.
teach me.
I'm ready.
Obi-Wan.
Yeah. Spread are in everything, Jimmy. Kaladin, look at this rock. It changes color when you look at it from different sides. I just feel like Tien should be the third member of the podcast. We're always pointing out the good rocks.
Well,
Tien
he's
knows
dead,
what's up.
so he can't be.
You bastard. You had to.
I assume worms are eating him at this point. He's been dead for 10 years.
He's in the spiritual realm, Jimmy. He shall return.
Probably.
Yeah. Look, dude. Tien with his rocks, I'm always waiting to be like, okay, is this what's Sanderson trying to get across to us here? Why the rocks? I think this is just more light weaving, foreshadowing that Tien is, he's able to see things that other people can't. At the same time, there are rocks that change color just depending on how you look at it. So it could be that simple, but the whole thing is like the spren living in things. This was mentioned weeks ago when I was like, why did Kaladin apologize to his spear? And everyone's a few people referenced this chapter, like when his mum was saying that spren are in everything, and that he would subconsciously be aware of that in that scene. After reading this chapter now, I'm not necessarily convinced that that's the case there. With his apology to the spear, it just feels like too subtle. And I don't think it was meant to be that subtle. I think it was meant to be a bit more obvious. Like, didn't seem subtle to me. Like, it's like he's saying sorry to a piece of wood. That doesn't happen. So I mean, that's what I think. But like, I think this is Sanderson low-key trying to also tease the scientific side of his magic.
Yeah, definitely.
How like he cut it up and there's more spreads, just like molecules, and you're just like, oh, he's really thinking this whole thing through, right?
Yeah.
And then he had to ruin it with Kaladin talking about poo spren.
Dung spren, thank you.
Oh, sorry, this is a PG podcast. Sorry, I do apologize for saying poo. But look, the other thing I was going to ask you is when Tien's like, hey, do I have a spren? Do you think there was like a spren with him at that point?
Yeah.
And it's like,
it's too on the nose, dude.
How about me? Like, so I've been talking to his friend for like months or something. I don't know. Like maybe there is one around and he's been like questioning it, because the idea was like he was beginning to become a light weaver, but he didn't make it. So I wonder if, just like Kaladin, how Syl was kind of around in his youth, maybe that was another one near Tien in his youth, and it's like a bit of a nod when Hsien is like, no, you don't have a spren, and there's like a spren there being like, hey, I'm right here.
Yeah.
So I don't know, because it says, yeah, see, Tien said from behind, from this side, it's green. I don't think it's a spren, mother. It's the light. It makes the rock change. And then Kaladin leaves the scene. And then I started to wonder, like, this conversation between Tien and his mum is cutting off. I wonder if, I wonder, because we have this whole conspiracy theory about her family that we never really hear about them. What's their lineage? Son of Tanabas, all these things. We're trying to make something of them. I wonder where that conversation went with his mum, whether she's just like, all right, Tien, go play with another rock. Or she's like, well, son, as a budding knight radiant, you'll see. But maybe that's just me.
I will say this. I mean, why does she believe this? Why does she believe that?
Yeah, where does this? Yeah, good question.
Because I don't get the impression that this is like what everyone thinks.
Yeah,
It
her
could
and
be.
Liren seem to be switched on to the whole spren thing.
Yeah, it just seems interesting, right? That she's giving these lessons about spren and how we should consider them because they're in everything, and then Kaladin ends up with Syl. Like I'm not
Yeah,
saying
they're
that she
just
planted it, but I just want to know why she believes this.
yeah, because it's not like we hear this from anybody else,
Yeah.
unless they've got some real like holistic view of the world.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, moving on from that, what was really weird to me was like a horse and carriage situation on Roshar.
Yeah.
That felt so weird to me. I'm like, well, this isn't my series. We don't do this.
Yeah, it doesn't match the vibe, does it?
It's just so shocking. Like it's just so weird. Seeing them in a horse and carriage. I really liked this line when Liren's actually hearing out Kaladin, and he goes, "Wise words. I keep forgetting that you're nearly a man, Cal. When did you go and grow up on me?" And then Cal thinks, "The night when we were nearly robbed. That night when you shone light on the men outside and showed that bravery had nothing to do with the spear held in battle." It's just with all this tension between him and his dad, this whole series, it's cool to see like these moments of like respect gained from Kaladin, where he actually looks up to his dad.
Yeah, I think some of the most monumental times in a child's life is those times where they kind of see their parents through a different lens, right?
Yeah.
And kind of get it. You go, oh, I
Yeah.
see. Those are few and far between, but I have found them in my life to be very profound, and I think Sanderson does a really good job. I like Kaladin and Liren's relationship. I actually think it's one of the best strengths of the series. How did you feel about Laeral and Roshone's son being caught?
Oh, dude.
This whole thing.
Oh, when she's like, "Come on, serving boy, fetch my food." I was like, "How dare you?" I was like, "Get her, Kaladin. Banish her to the, don't you remember? We were playing with rocks just a few chapters ago."
What a silly little kid Kaladin is. Enraging to read this, but I will say
it's the classic
this.
teenage rage.
Oh, definitely. I don't feel that heartbroken for Kaladin though. Like
No.
I was never invested in Kaladin and Laeral, and I don't think we're meant to be because we see her kind of go her own path, and they have another interaction a little bit later. But yeah, I don't know. It's more enraging just the way she treats him, not so much. I'm like, Kaladin, that was the one. I don't feel that.
No, you're right. It's just like, wow, we're really gonna forget. I thought we were friends, man. But look, this whole conversation where Kaladin's like, I don't have big words, Dad. They keep talking big at me, and I can't fight back. when he just got schooled by what's his name, Reread, where he's like, "It's not my calling to fetch my dinner." It was just so petty teenage crap. You're like, God, I feel like I'm back in high school reading this little exchange.
And there's still people as adults that act like that.
Yeah, just go to any YouTube comment section and you'll see them.
You could go to my One Piece comments.
Oh, Jimmy.
Rest in peace.
Rip.
Rip.
Rest
One
Piece.
pepperonis.
I don't know. Did you... I'm not gonna lie. I forgot that his dad stole the Spheres.
Oh, I completely forgot this. Like it was actually like I was reading, and it wasn't one of those things where as I'm reading it, I remembered. Just a complete shock.
Yeah, I was like, "How dare you!" But I was like, "You know what? Yeah, steal them." Why not?
I'm terrified of how much I've forgotten of book 2, 3, and 4. Like I'm terrified.
Yeah. But that's the best part.
It is, but I feel like I should be able to remember some of these things.
Hey,
like,
if the pressure's on anyone, it's on me.
Yeah.
Like, I'm meant to know these things.
Mr.
I've told
Stormlight.
myself I'm Mr. Stormlight. Mr. Coppermind, perhaps. One link away from knowing everything. But people, like, they give you more slack. They're like, "Oh, Jimmy with his theory.
Meathead. He's kind of dumb. He has dyslexia. I can't read."
You know what? If he's forgotten who Shallan is, that's fine. We'll give him a pass. But me? No. Not allowed. Nah, man, it's fine because believe it or not, this is for us too. So reading it again, if it feels like the first
and foremost, it's for us.
Yeah. So I don't mind forgetting things. I enjoyed remembering and being actually surprised for once reading these chapters, being like, oh yeah, he stole them, Liren. And I don't know, just like the way he writes Kaladin in these scenes with his dad just feel like a step above everything else with
Yeah.
Kaladin so far.
Yeah, it's actually my favorite relationship for Kaladin. Kaladin and Syl is, well, Kaladin and Syl is probably number one.
Yeah,
And
you can't beat that, but we're not there yet.
Kaladin just actually, in my opinion, has the best chemistry with the cast.
Yeah.
I was talking about this with a friend this week, actually, and I was talking about how I felt way more chemistry between Shallan and Kaladin in the chasm than I have ever felt between Adolin and Shallan.
100%.
I don't know if that's a hot take, by the way, but like Adolin and Shallan together does nothing for me. And I think it's like there's something about Adolin where I just I don't feel chemistry with him on the page with anyone other than when he stabs Sadeas. Like that's the moment. Like even him and Dalinar, I'm not sucked into that, you know?
But how about the Adolin Kaladin bromance? I felt that. I did feel that.
Kaladin, that's what I'm saying. Kaladin.
Right. Yeah.
Kaladin elevates every other character when he's on the page with them. And I feel like Sanderson has a great grasp on Kaladin. Like he gets it. And that's any relationship revolving around Kaladin, in my opinion, is very, very solid. Whereas like, other times I'm supposed to care about, a connection between two characters and I don't. And I'm not saying that to put down any of the other cast or anything. I'm just saying that that's how good Kaladin is and how good I think Brandon Sanderson is at getting inside of Kaladin's head.
Yeah, I feel like whenever you talk about Stormlight with anybody, the first thing that's coming to most people's minds is Kaladin. He feels like he's the heart and soul of the series.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah.
Even when he's in the background, you're like, what's Cal doing? Like, I don't know. There's just the attachment you build in this first book. And you're right. Like, when you said that, I think you're really right in saying that he does elevate everybody else. But, man, I remember feeling that chemistry in those chasms. I was like,
for sure. I mean,
this is going to happen.
It's one of my gripes. Well, we'll get to it eventually, but it's one of my gripes actually with the series. But we'll cross that chasm.
I can't wait to like have the love triangle argument with you in Words of Radiance. Let's do it.
It's gonna be nasty.
Oh, the claws are. Keep your safe hand covered, Jimmy. I don't want to see those claws.
Listen, keep it covered, folks.
And this is the moment where Cal becomes Kaladin. It's our last Cal chapter. And I felt like we should look at this line at the end where he goes, Kaladin would be a man who learned surgery and all the ways of the light eyes. And someday he would return to his town and prove Roshone, Relir, and Laral herself that they had been wrong to dismiss him. I wonder like if this is a chance for Sanderson to flex those foreshadowing muscles. It's a pivotal moment. Now he's Kaladin. So I wonder if this is like a hint of where he ends up. The quiet surgeon.
Well,
in a faraway town.
He ends up coming back in book 4, though.
He does.
Right? And he actually ends up having an interaction with Laral, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I don't know if it's Rhythm of War. I think it might be right at the beginning. Yeah,
it's Rhythm of War.
Doesn't he punch Roshone in the face? Pretty sure that happens.
I'm pretty sure. I can't remember exactly. I just remember him feeling like he needs to rescue her, and she's like, "No, like I've actually grown fond."
Yes.
And there's this weird thing there, but I think that is the moment this is kind of foreshadowing, and it doesn't really go exactly how he thinks it's going to go, but I would think that everyone would consider Kaladin to be pretty dang impressive when he comes back in book 4.
I think I'm just quickly looking it up. I think he does go back in Oathbringer. I'm almost certain.
Oh, am I wrong? I might be wrong.
I don't know, but like, I just remember the punch because I looked up. I just googled Kaladin punching Roshone, and I'm pretty sure he says like, "That's for Moash." Like he says a little thing.
Yeah.
So, the thread was from like the thread was like 6 years ago. So I'm like, maybe it was Oathbringer. I mean, this doesn't really matter. Anyway, look, he goes back, which is curious, right? Because like as we go into the next chapter, which I'll let you summarize in a sec, I just find it striking that he. Anyway, I'll save it. I'll save it. We can do the summary first. If there's nothing else you want to say about the first one.
No, I don't think so. I think we got it. I mean, it isn't terribly long, but it does have a ton of stuff, especially for Kaladin's journey. Right? It's pretty major.
Yeah, and I don't know. I just felt all his frustrations and his confused teenage brain of like wanting your parents to do something, but the world ain't that simple. Yeah. And him just sitting at the kiddie table with his little chicken nugget meal. Like, I'm not eating it.
Go get some more kid food, Cal.
Yeah, Cal. Here are your nuggets and fries, Cal.
With your Justin Bieber haircut.
Yeah. Oh, man.
It. You know you had the mop top. There ain't no doubt. So we go to chapter 38. Right?
Don't ruin this series with the mop top.
Listen, we go from mop top chicken nugs over here to draining spheres. I mean, this is some big stuff here. We're talking about chapter 38, folks. Envisager? Is that how you would say it?
See, I do the Z. Envisager. That's what
Envisager.
Because it's like envisage. So
all right, I'm just going to try not to say it anymore.
Okay, cool.
I tried to say Sabaudi Archipelago and I got destroyed. So, which I know I'm saying wrong, by the way. No one tell me. So the epigraph reads, "Born from the darkness, they bear its taint still, marked upon their bodies, much as the fire marks their souls." What do you make of this one?
Hey. Let's I want to hear you read the Shin name. Who's written this quote?
I was hoping you wouldn't ask. Okay, so and I actually do think the note is significant that Yasna has put here. So I consider Gashash, son of Navamis.
Gashash. Oh, who's poor evil parents?
That's whenever you go to a good dispensary and you get that gas hash, you know. Leave that one in. That's a good one. I consider Gashash, son Navamis, a trustworthy source, though I'm not certain about the translation. Find the original quote in the 14th book of Seld and retranslate it myself, perhaps. So I actually think this note is significant because she's not certain about the translation. So here's the thing. Born from the darkness, they bear its taint still, marked upon their bodies, much as the fire marks their souls. What about this do you feel like she is not like latching on to as a translation? Like what would make her feel like the translation might not be good?
I wonder, like, the way you point this out, I'm curious that there's a translation because as far as I've understood it, the Shin people speak the same language as the other humans.
Ooh.
So maybe they didn't always, because like that's a Shin person who's written it, or maybe he's the person who translated it. I don't know. Anyway, so it happened in Shinovar, or he's translating it from somebody else. But I
think he's translating it.
Okay, yeah. When I read what she says there, I suppose it is. So, born from the darkness.
She calls him a trustworthy source, which is why I think this is interesting. He's a trustworthy source, though I'm not certain about the translation. So is it something like, is it actually like something off page where like the handwriting is a little messed up or something? Or is there something about this epigraph and the way it's written that she's like, fire marks their souls? Like, why would that be in there? You know what I'm saying? Like, what is the elephant in the room with this epigraph?
I wonder if it's like talking about when the Parshmen got their forms and turned into Parshendi. So like they got their forms from Odium, and I'm fairly sure there was an unmade involved, but Ado Mishram. So I'm wondering if they're saying her taint is on them, and when they got their forms, like the unmade's mark is like left on them. Or something, or some sort of Odium's mark, is upon them, right? I'm guessing is that what you get that it was referring to?
I'll tell you what. I do think that's what it's referring to. But I'm looking at this now. I'm wondering if she thinks the Gashash is using different language to cover up something more. You see what I'm saying? Because she's looking for the information between the lines when she's doing these notes. And maybe you have it right. Like they bear its taint still. Maybe instead of it's supposed to be her taint still.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
And why is Gashash working for the enemy? You know? Maybe he ain't so trustworthy. Maybe he's covering something up.
And that's what I'm saying. Like maybe she's like, well, I would like to believe this is it, but maybe there's some sort of I'm just saying it seems like Yasna is skeptical of the historical record, which is actually in line with her character because she's a skeptic. So I thought this was really interesting.
And like, okay, so she knows where the original source is from, the 14th book of Seld. So what is this? Some sort of like history, some encyclopedic 15 volume or something history. If I look up Seld.
I didn't get any hits on the copper mine.
Seld is a series of books on Roshar with at least 14 volumes. It was among many literary works that Yasna Kaladin consulted during her research of the Voidbringers and Unmade. Seld's authorship is unknown, but it wasn't written in Alethi. One of the people who translated it was Gashash, the man himself, who was considered a trustworthy source to the Yasna. The single known quote, however, was questioned by Yasna, and she considered translating it herself.
Yes.
So, I think we're on interesting because, like, if you read it, like, I think it's meant to be Gashash, but Shash.
I like Gashash way more.
I like Gashash more, but like I'm seeing Sash as in Shash, as in Kaladin's danger, like brand.
Oh,
right?
interesting.
Brand.
Yeah.
So maybe he's got some dangerous gas. I think that's what that
might be it. That might be what she's so worried about.
Yeah, I think case closed, mate.
I think we cracked that code. So about the recap. Yeah, let's recap this bad boy.
What else is there to say?
Yeah, I mean, we pretty much can close the podcast at this point.
Yeah.
So Kaladin at the beginning of chapter 38 is lying in Bridgeforest Barracks, suffering fever from wounds he got from being strung up in the high storm. Most of the time he's unconscious. In his rare lucid moments, he sees Death Spren and Syl, a small figure of pure white light holding a sword made of light. She fights the Death Spren with her sword and wards them off. Kaladin just wants to relax and die, as we all do, but he fights to survive because he doesn't want to fail Bridge 4 like he did Tien, Dalit, and others. He notices more Death Spren each time he is lucid enough to see them. And then we jump into Teft's perspective, which is where basically Teft starts to put some things together and then alludes to his past with the title of this chapter and these people. And he's talking about how he needs to basically get back to them. And he's just blown away that Stormlight has been depleted from the spheres around Kaladin. And there's more color going into his skin. I mean, it's pretty obvious that Kaladin can heal. So big stuff. Big reveals from Teft. Yeah. I actually had forgotten all that too.
The whole Death Spren thing.
I forgot about, I mean, I definitely didn't remember the chapter, but I forgot that Teft was a part of this group before. Like I totally forgot all about that. And now I'm starting to remember why I like Teft so much at the beginning. And then by the time he gets whacked in book 4, I'm like, meh. Like I wasn't as attached to him then, but I love his backstory.
Yeah. No, he's interesting. And like, he's just like the, like you kind of said it, like the history will get lost with Teft's passing because he's like the guy who discovered Kaladin to some degree.
Well, yeah, and think about this. The Envisagers, the people that he was kind of cast out, like he didn't want to belong to, their entire thing, they secretly bore the remembrance of the Knights Radiant and awaited their return, and then people thought they were crazy. And they carried this history pretty much with them, kind of what Teft would have done for the Legend of Kaladin Stormblessed had he survived.
Ooh.
And now there will be a group of people who will believe in Kaladin and in what he has done, but the one person who can attest to it will be dead. So that group of people will be looked just like as the Envisagers are back when the Knights Radiant. Like it's repeating history almost.
Yeah. I wonder if we eventually do see these characters like Kaladin as legends.
Oh, definitely.
In the future Cosmere timeline.
I think so.
That'd be great. But to speak of the chapter title, right, to envisage something, to look into the future, to predict the future, or hope for something in the future. And the chapter starts, this is where I feel like it's a bit sus, right? Kaladin's on the edge of death, and it says he was back in Hearthstone with his family, only he was a grown man, the soldier he had become, and he didn't fit with them anymore. His father kept asking, how did this happen? You said you wanted to become a surgeon. And that happens.
Yeah, straight up.
So that straight up exactly happens.
That happens. That is written 10 years ago and happened in, 2019 when Rhythm of War came out?
Yeah. So is he actually seeing the future there?
Yes. Yes, he is.
Okay.
He literally is.
Yeah.
So are we going to get a scene at some point where Syl is fighting off Death Spren with, you know what I'm saying, like a more manifested version of this later? Or do you think that this battle was happening legitimately right here, right now?
Look, I think, the Syl thing is definitely happening right there. But what I'm thinking is there's some sort of weird, I can imagine someone asking Sanderson this question, right? I'm going to get in my sand. I'm going to put on my blazer with my Bridge 4 t-shirt underneath, and this is my answer, right? Someone's going to say, hey, what was going on with Kaladin in this scene? And he'd say, as a person near death, he peeked into the spiritual realm where time and place don't exist, it's all at once. And he got a peek into his future and actually did see that for a brief moment.
Yeah.
Here's your Raffo ticket or something. And then, yeah, right? That feels like what it is. That's something Sando would do.
Yes. And this, it's without a doubt, right? It's without a doubt.
Yeah, I just feel like it's exactly what happened. So I get he's tying back to the previous chapter because he's like, I'm going to go back and I'm going to, kick their butts. But it's not like it's on his mind, actually. Like, that's just how the book is structured. So it would be weird that he's thinking about that right then. Anyway, I thought Syl fighting off the Death Spren was just so freaking cool. Like this whole molecular level world. Well, not molecular. They seem like fist-sized, but the fact that this is all going on around him is very cool.
Oh, definitely. And at this point, Syl has been barely coherent at times. You know what I mean? Like, she's done some cool things. She's been kind of silly, but this is like a big moment for Syl.
Yeah. I'm just going to check. I just had my conspiratorial brain was like, but were they Death Spren? Because I don't know. I don't know if they're like ever mentioned again. Because it's like this thing that everyone knows, like, oh, Death Spren, you only see them when you're going to die. But did Syl ever go like, hey, remember that time I had to like fight off those Death Spren? I don't know. Okay, Death Spren. Ooh. Okay, they are real. It's possible that Death Spren have a more direct effect on the dying than simply being attracted to them, as Syl strives to protect Kaladin from them when he's close to death. It is also possible that only the dying can see the Death Spren because they can temporarily see into other realms, either spiritual or cognitive. Oh, I was totally right. So as you're dying, you do see into those realms, so that he was seeing the future. Oh, nailed it. Okay. When Kaladin sees Syl defending him from the Death Spren, she appears differently than before as a solid figure of glowing light, as opposed to her normal translucent manifestation in the physical realm. Okay. So, yeah, okay, so she totally was fighting up Death Spren. I'm glad I read that, though.
Yeah.
It kind of confirms what I was saying earlier. I wonder if she didn't fight, would he just die?
Yes.
Okay.
I think she's literally saving his life here.
Okay, great. Oh, that's even better. I don't know, the way he wrote the Tef scene, he like puts the spheres and it like repairs his skin. I was just like, this is like so majestic. Like it feels like the chosen one stuff. You know?
Yeah, it definitely does. Man, I had a crazy thought during this chapter, and I know it's crackpot, folks, but follow me here.
Yeah, I'm following, mate.
So
the way.
Remember, this is in Visage, so this is the future telling stuff that I'm thinking.
Yeah.
a small figure of pure white light. You could say that, a source in darkness producing a light would almost be like a sun.
Oh, yes.
And we've had a lot of things talking about when the sun goes down and when the sun disappears. And the kind of the doom that has happened after this. Is there a chance that Syl goes down and that revelation afterwards is like Kaladin losing it?
Oh, man. If Syl dies, Kaladin's it's game over.
Yeah. What if the sun is a metaphor for Syl?
Oh.
And the darkness that follows is whatever ends up happening with Kaladin.
That glow was so pure, so sweet. It seemed to be the glow of life itself.
Bro, pure white light holding a sword made of light.
I don't know, man.
I know I'm reaching. I'm going into symbolism, which doesn't usually work out in books for the most part, unless if the author's really considering these things. But I saw him visage. We get the rhythm of war scene, and I'm thinking like, okay, that one's on the nose. Could there be something hidden in here that's a little bit more in the details? And I just thought of Syl being a sun.
Dude, you're peeking into the spiritual realm. That's what I'm gathering.
You think?
Now. Yeah, I think so. I think you've seen a few things, and I'm just writing it down. I'm just going to keep it here on my little notepad, and we'll see what happens.
I mean, I just think like we're talking about like the contest of champions or whatever, and like what if that were to be the straw that broke the camel's back, and Kaladin ended up on the other side somehow, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if Syl were to go down, all bets like we have no idea what Kaladin does. So just throwing out some crackpot stuff. Food for thought.
Dude, when that sun goes down, which it will, we're gonna lose our minds. We're gonna be like those doomsday predictors. Like
we're the only people really talking about the sun, okay? In the fandom, like we're the sun. We're the Kremling people, and we're the sun people,
and the rock people. Let's be real.
Yeah, honestly, we're big fans of limestone.
Yeah, someone's got to watch the limestone because without that, anything could happen.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he has his Eren Yeager moment. His skin heals, and he's back in business, baby.
He bites his hand.
Yeah, he bites his hand. Oh, let's start the rewatch. But no, it was great. It was very, very cool. He's back. Teft is feeling it. I looked into the people, the Envisagers. They seem to be like an offshoot of the what are they? Sons of Honor. Just people who want to bring back the Radiance and stuff.
Yeah, and they're kind of carrying it on and and everything. And Teft kind of rebelled against it, right?
Dude, he told like the powers that be that his family was doing this stuff, and they freaking killed him.
Not cash money.
Not cash money. Like, some mistakes we can come back from. That's a pretty big one. That's
a pretty big one. Probably
the whole addiction angle is making sense now for Teft, for sure.
Yeah.
But as we move on from that depressing point, we're up to chapter 39.
Chapter 39, Burned into Her. And the epilogue reads, within a heartbeat, Alazarv was there, crossing a distance that would have been taken more than 4 months to travel by foot. And this is talking about Irithiru, I would say. It says another folktale, this one recorded in Among the Dark-Eyed by Kalanam. Page 102, stories, instantaneous travel, and the Oath Gates pervade these tales.
Mm-hmm. She's onto it. I wonder where he traveled from. Maybe like Alabama or something.
Yeah. Maybe Alabama, Mobile, possibly. Shout out to all the we did get a lot of angry emails from Alabamians. I don't know.
Don't lie. I was actually waiting for them, but they never came.
No.
So maybe either we don't have listeners there.
Do they have internet there?
The test.
I'm kidding. Roll Tide. It's fine. Yeah. Someone did comment on the YouTube video and said that they died laughing whenever I said Roll Tide, which I appreciated.
What did you make of this chapter, dude? I feel like I don't know. I was not. There's okay. There is one anomaly in this chapter that I'm
There's one
excited
thing I
for.
like.
What's that?
I shouldn't say like. It's just a pretty straightforward chapter for the most part.
Okay. So what's your thing?
I mean, she draws the scene of her killing her mother.
Okay. So I want to talk to you about this.
Okay.
I want to talk. All right. Yeah. So she does draw that. She draws something. There's someone dead, right?
In fine clothes.
Yeah. Okay. It's listed as a dead man though. It says a dead man in fine clothing, lying face first on the floor, blood pooling around him. Okay,
Dude,
so
I literally thought it said woman. Like, I'm telling you, my dyslexia is getting worse. Like, I literally read it as richly dressed woman.
maybe you're just seeing
what I want to see.
You're reading between the lines, like
Yeah,
you're seeing
right.
what Sanderson truly intended.
I think I'm just
Or your dyslexia is getting worse.
I don't know.
Yeah. lost in dementia.
Yeah, that's you're repeating the same stuff for 10 years.
10 years, like, dude, that sun is going down. But because look, as I remember it, she choked him out, right? Mm-hmm. Was there blood? I haven't referred to the chapter, but I found it curious, the blood pooling around him. Now, I'm pretty sure that there was like a red rug. So is she just taking some artistic license? But that's not like Shallan. It's like, it's got to be perfect memories, right?
Yeah, I would say if lying in a pool of blood,
didn't she choke him?
Yes? Question mark.
So I don't think there was blood.
So who's him?
So that's my question. I'm like, is he doing the double twist on us? Like we're meant to think, oh yeah, it's one of her parents, but is it somebody else entirely? Because I feel like Shallan's got major like memory gaps beyond what we've already learned. Like who else copped it?
I'm not sure. This is one I'm not positive on. Obviously, I thought it was her mom the entire time.
Yeah.
So sorry, folks. It's just something you're going to have to deal with when you listen to me talk. But the recap of this chapter, by the way, is that Shallan is sitting in a room, kind of like thinking about the 4 robbers from 3 nights ago, and she's drawing them, and it leads her into drawing this scene. And then she gets a span read from her brother. Things are bad. She basically has the Fabrial, or I keep thinking of Fabrial, Soulcaster. And then she decides to put in her safe pouch, leaves the room with a basket full of bread and blueberry jam left by Capsule. Then 2 hours later, sitting in the palace garden, Shallan has calmed down and is drawing some snails and plants. She notes the symbolic relationship between a snail she is drawing and the shell bark it is on. Writing it down next to her drawing, after making sure she is alone, she gets the Soulcaster out and tries to puzzle out how to use it. And then she's trying to think of ways that she's going to be able to figure that out and save her family.
Yeah, like you said, fairly straightforward. And those drawings are like what we saw last week, the ones we spoke about.
Mm-hmm.
I think... Tell me if I'm reaching here, dude.
Okay.
But I just feel like every cremling mentioned it's near a main character is potentially a spy.
Bro, I'm with you. Shellbark.
Yeah.
Shellbark is a class of organism native to Roshar. Though it comes in many forms, it also has a rock-like appearance with retractable tendrils. Shellbark grows wild in diverse locations, from the relatively barren Shatter Plains to the jungles growing in Tai Na in the Reshi Sea. It is also cultivated and used extensively in landscaping across Roshar. So it's built in to the landscaping all over Roshar. It seems to be able to survive in all these different climates. It's always around these very important events and these characters. Just saying.
Maybe the Sleepless planted them, and they're like, yeah. So we'll put those everywhere, and then our cremlings will fit right in. Just like, I don't know, for me, the way I read it was like, okay, this is the snail's territory. The snail cleans it. It makes sense. She's like, okay, the snails are here because they got this symbiotic relationship. Beautiful. There's 2 cremlings there. They don't need to be there. They're not part of this whole ecosystem.
I think they're supposed to stick out, dude.
Right? They are. Like, okay. When she looked closely, she noted little cremlings, thin and multi-legged, crawling along it, eating at it. Were they 2 cleaning it? No, they're writing notes. Okay,
Yes. I'm dead. I'm with you. I'm telling you.
They're sending emails to the hive mind. They're like,
They're
okay, so
texting,
she's drawing. Yeah, she just drew her dad. Like, pretty sure.
bro.
Oof.
Confirmed. Like, there's no doubt.
I'm telling you, add it to the sus cremlings pile. There's a bunch of them. Or that's. I mean, look, that's our opportunity to show up in the adaptation. That's all I'm saying. In that scene, that's me and you, voiced by me and you.
It really is. I mean, I do think there's significance to this. And when the Kremlings are this big, massive revelation, people are going to look back and be like, oh my God, it was there the whole
Every
time.
yeah. And we're on it quick. We're going to point out every.
And then you tell them, listeners, you say, I knew about that because my buddy Christian Kremling and Jimmy Stormbless told me on the podcast 7 years ago.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
So she did mention her shard blade too, but that's old news for us. She's like, oh, I had a weapon that I didn't use. Oh, an interrupting thought again?
Yeah.
Her thoughts are always like, stop spoiling the book. And then, okay, it's probably just her dad, but I argue that maybe it could be somebody else. I'm pretty sure it's just her dad, and maybe he hadn't figured out the full extent of the way he dies, or there was maybe some more back and forth that I'm forgetting. And there was some bloodshed of that. I'm pretty sure he was fighting with the kids, and there might have been blood somewhere. So yeah, look, it's probably foreshadowing about her dad. And then what's interesting is like Nunblood's writing about the Ghostbloods who keep visiting him, and he says they ask after Shallan, and he says, I'm worried about them even more than I worry about our finances. They disturb me in a profound way. These Ghostbloods are creepy, right? What, in a profound way? What are they doing?
Yeah, I very much wonder because like we've seen a little bit, right? But there's clearly a whole bunch more going on.
So, when I was reading about, because I was trying to remember the whole like Soulcaster timeline and like what's going on with the Switch and all this stuff. Because like Yasna's one is a fake, or like it's broken as well. She just wore it so she could like look like she was using it. She doesn't need it, right?
Yeah.
And then when I was reading about it, I forgot in Rhythm of War, Navani finds out like Soulcasters are just spren, a type of spren in the physical realm, just much like a shard blade is a spren showing up. And I totally forgot that. So the Ghostbloods are across that too. It just more stuff to say that they are so not knowledgeable, or at least more knowledgeable than we realize at this point in the story. I really want to know who's visiting her family though, and why they're asking about Shallan. Is it just because like, where's your sister been? It's been a minute. Or are they onto her already?
I think they're onto her.
Yeah, they're like, Mom was.
I feel like there's like, so we've talked about how Yasna maybe she knows about Shallan.
Okay, yeah.
So if that is true, at this point in the story, like other people would know about her. Like maybe she is a significant person, not just here on Roshar, but in the Cosmere.
Oh yeah, they're like, hey, so remember those? You heard about those heralds, right? One of them had a kid. You should probably check that out.
Yeah, and what if the butler was a world hopper?
It's the butler who did it.
It's always the butler.
Yeah. Well, it more or less is like all of his little, like all her dad's friends and servants or whatever. Like a lot of them were clued into the whole Ghostblood thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting because she basically confronts this whole problem or this trauma with her and her dad, thinking about Yasna's lesson, being like, she tried to like find a good answer or like free herself of the guilt of what she'd done, but she can't entirely. It's just so telegraphed to you throughout this book.
It really is. And obviously she has a long way to go.
Yeah.
And it hasn't resolved everything yet because we don't even know everything.
Yeah, there's more bombshells to come.
Yeah.
Definitely. But yeah, look, a solid Shallan chapter, but just not as dense as the other ones have been. Kaladin has finally stolen the show this week.
Finally.
I'm gonna give it to him. Finally. Oh man. I was talking to my parents about the podcast, And they know I do the podcast or whatever, and they're like, so what is it exactly? Like, what are you talking about this week? I'm just like, the next chapters. They're like, what do you mean the next chapters? I'm like, yeah, we just talk about the next chapters. And they're like, how many chapters are there? I'm like, 75. I'm like, where are you up to? I'm like, 30 something. They're like, oh, and people listen. They listen to this. I'm like, mate, there's a lot going on here. This ain't your airport pickup whodunit.
This isn't no middle of the mall stuff.
No.
This is legit.
We got like little cockroaches that are writing down what's going on to a hive mind. Okay, mum.
Yeah,
Jeez.
we're on some 4D level type stuff right now.
Yeah.
We're on that gas hash, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, we are. But yeah, that was the pep talk I needed before recording today. That really G'd me up, making me feel like, I'm doing something worthwhile.
Oh, parents.
Oh,
Lyran.
Oh, those Lyran types.
Oh, Herald Mother.
But hey, another good week, mate. Did you have anything else to say?
No, I don't think so. I feel like we're strap in. Now we're taking off. This is where this book is picked up clearly, and Kaladin is sucking in Stormlight, which it's hard to think of him and not being able to suck in Stormlight or not being aware of it. So we're gonna get to the Kaladin that we all know and love very, very soon.
Yeah, strap in, guys, and make sure your straps are fastened because straps are breaking. I'm hearing.
No, don't give me a strap. Jeez.
Hey, dude, I'm still wondering about that strap.
I'm like dreading to get back to the Down chapters because I know it's coming. I'm like,
because Elokar is gonna bust in and be like, my bloody strap is broken.
The worst.
As always, guys, thank you for accompanying us on this episode of Lost in Roshar. Remember, the most important chapter a man can read is the next one. We'll see you next week to dive into chapters 40, 41, and 42.
And if you enjoyed this episode of the podcast, be sure to leave us a review on whichever platform you listen on. If you have any sort of theories, span read us at lostandroshar@gmail.com. We'll see you next time on Lost and Roshar. And remember to keep that safe hand covered.